Good evening, everybody. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center um, and the Exodus Dispatching and Associates. The Exodus Dispatching or the Exodus Logistics Learning Center is the area of the platform where we are doing our trainings in Dispatcher 101 and Freight Broker 101. Today is Sunday, July 21st, 2019, by the way. It's about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just completed a training earlier this morning, 11 a.m. on Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. We talked about the cost of operations for owner-operators from a dispatcher's perspective so we can understand our carriers, knowing what they need to make a profit and so they can continue to run. So if we understand that from a dispatcher's perspective, it'll help us have an idea of what kind of loads that we look for them. So when your carrier tells you they need so much per mile, they have already calculated and potentially or possibly included the cost of fuel, the cost of tires, the cost of any rentals that they have, truck and trailer rentals, the cost of insurance, maintenance, upkeep of the truck, things of that nature, into their expenses. So their break-even cents per mile number will be, let's say, for example, for an equipment type like a drive-in, flatbed, or reefer, let's say $2 a mile. Then they say, okay, well, $2 a mile, irregardless of the number of miles, will get me a break-even amount to cover my expenses and enough to make some extra money, take-home money. So we discussed a little bit about calculating fuel costs, and we talked about carrier acquisition a little bit today in today's training. Um, there were members who were asking questions. They were actually guests who were asking questions about beginner level dispatching and how to sign up and things of that nature. Um, and we spoke about that as well. So under the auspices of the Exodus Logistics Learning Center side will be the all of the trainings, be it Dispatching 101 training for beginners and or uh, Freight Broker 101 training for beginners. Um, so the Exodus Logistics Learning Center, this is the beginner's website of it, the homepage. Um, so again, Exodus Logistics Learning Center is the premier place to go to learn Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, um, as well as Freight Broker 101 training for beginners. So um, our spot trainings for Dispatcher 101 training for beginners will be Wednesday evenings from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and as of now, Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I've been getting a lot of feedback from a poll that I'm currently taking as to changing that day to Sundays, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So people are asking me about that as well. Um, so Exodus Logistics Learning Center and the dispatching Exodus Dispatcher and Associates are two different areas of the same thing. The Logistics Learning Center is the training portion. The Exodus Dispatching and Associates is where I have dispatchers or sub-dispatchers or dispatching associates work with me and move some of my carriers loads for them. So, but if you are interested in um, getting training for Exodus Dispatcher 101 or Freight Broker 101, then you can go to www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com and go to the homepage here. This is the homepage, but if you go to the section that says Dispatcher 101 assuming that you want to get dispatcher training, or the section that says Freight Broker 101, assuming that you want to receive freight broker training. Under the Dispatcher 101 training, you have an area where you can go to log into the live online dispatch training, where you can attend as a member, of course, and as well as a guest. And then you have the area to enroll into Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, as well as to enroll in the Freight Broker 101 training for beginner as well. But under the dispatching, this is the area that you would go to and decide which pricing point you will go with. If you are a veteran, military veteran, then your one-time price is $249 to enroll. Otherwise, the regular price is $299, and then the 2-for-1 special is $499. Now, this one-time payment is up until August 1st, after which there will be a $39.99 per month subscription, in addition to the regular enrollment price. So, and then once you enroll into the Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, then you will receive an email asking you to follow the instructions in the back office setup and login. So you will go to the same area under Dispatcher 101, and the next step will be the back office login and setup page. Once here, and I'll log out, you come here and you watch the welcome to the back office login and setup page. You watch the YouTube video instructing you how to log in and set up to have back office membership to the access to the tools and resources. But what that is and what that entails is you just simply click the login and sign up, and by default you're going to see login as the header when you click that login/sign up at the beginning. So again, once you click login/sign up, by default it'll say login first. But if you notice under there, it says new to this site, sign up. So if you're enrolling for the first time, then you will qualify under this area. You wouldn't have a login because you haven't been approved yet to have back office access. So as a first time person enrolling, they are going to say new to this site and then sign up. So once you click this, the login header is going to change to sign up now. So as if you were a beginner or someone who is logging in to receive back office access for the first time. And then what you would do there, you would you would create or put in an email and a password and then hit sign up. Now, most people, when they do that, they typically use the email that they used when they enrolled in the platform. You do not have to do that, but I'm just saying it just makes for consistency to do so. So you would enter your email, whatever that email is. It could be the email that you use when you enrolled into the platform, and you create your password, and then you hit the sign up button. Okay, and then that will take you to it'll send an alert to the back office webmaster, which is us. We'll see that, and it'll say I'll get an email also saying that someone requests site member access. So I'll log into the back office area on the website side, and click to approve that email and password. Once that happens, you'll get a notification saying that you've been approved, and then you can go back to that login and sign in page, and then go to the default one to log in using the same email and password you just used under the sign up area and got approved for. Okay, so once you do that, now you hit log in. So now you log in, and it will say hello, and then whatever email that you logged in or signed up for or with, and then an option to log out. So now if you go back to the Dispatcher 101 drop down, you'll see now the next, once you get approved for back office access, the next from orientation all the way down to the end, Dispatcher 101 glossary, Once you log in and get approved and you use that email and password and you log in for the first time, then you don't have to log in to every single sublink beyond from orientation all the way down. You only need to log in one time, and then you have access to everything from that point on. So now you go to the next step, which is orientation. On orientation, you just simply watch and here's a note over here. It tells you to watch the orientation video, which is about 30 minutes, 33 minutes. I'll go ahead and pause that. And it talks about what orientation is about. And then I have the ebooks that are included with the enrolling into the Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners platform. The ebooks are how much money you need to move your truck, number one. Number two is level 2, which deals with carrier packets and rate confirmation sheets. The third ebook is Dispatcher 101. And then I also have a basic dispatch terms. It's like a glossary of basic terms. If you're just starting, you know very little, if anything, about being a dispatcher, this basic term glossary has information for you to understand. It's about 7 pages. Just some basic terms that you will need as you begin to learn and grow in being a dispatcher. And then lastly, you have the logins for the load boards. There's about 10 load boards. I won't click this because this is a recording, but this is a PDF of all the email and passwords for those 10 load boards. So when you go to module 2 on the load boards and you'll see those load boards, you'll be able to access those load boards with the PDF email and passwords for those load boards. And in the orientation area is where you receive those logins for. Now what I may do, I may move the load board logins PDF to the load boards page, but we'll see. So next, after orientation, after you watch the orientation video and you download the 3 ebooks, the glossary, and the load board email and password PDFs, then you just simply, the questionnaire, you fill in your name, date. Did you watch the orientation video? Yes or no. Did you download the PDFs? Yes or no. Any comments, and then hit submit. And that's it for orientation. Pretty cut and dry, straightforward, user-friendly, easy to follow. Next will be the 4 modules. And these are self-paced modules. You don't have to feel like you need to get them done in a certain time. You can pace yourself, take as long as you need until you clearly understand what each module means. They are in order because before, as being an independent dispatcher, you do need to acquire or get carriers under an agreement first before you can go to the load boards in module 2 and learn how to find the loads for them. And then module 3, learning how to book the loads either through a broker or a shipper. And then module 4, invoicing the carrier once they've delivered that load so you can get paid. So those are the 4 modules. So module 1 is the carrier acquisition, or getting a carrier to say, yes, I can use you as my dispatcher and I'll pay you for that service anywhere between 5 and 10% for that service. So in module 1, that's carrier acquisition. Here's a YouTube video that goes over that. It's an overview of module 1. And then there's the module 1 overview in PDF, and then there's a quiz about it. And then I talk about the workflow of dispatching, what's involved in that. So there's a lot of content in this area. And then module 1 talks about the 3 main equipment types, or the types of vehicles or trucks that carriers, truck drivers, owner operators operate the most out there on the road. Now there are others, but these are the main equipment types that are out there that will have the greatest chance of you starting to generate revenue, because it's easiest to find the loads for these equipment types as it in comparison to the other ones. And those are the 53-foot drive-in trailers, which is an image right here. The reefer trailers, 53-foot refrigerated trailers, and this is a reefer trailer. This is the tractor, this is the trailer. So the reefer unit, the only difference between a drive-in and a reefer is this piece of equipment that's on the front of the trailer is called a temperature control unit, a TCU, and is used to keep the freight or the commodity or what's being hauled in that trailer cooled to a certain temperature. And then the third is the 48 or 53-foot flatbed trailers. All of them have tractors or the trucks. They all have tractors or trucks. The trailer is what makes the equipment type what it is. Dry van trailer, reefer trailer, flatbed trailer. All of them have the same trucks type. They all have trucks coupled or attached to the trailers. But again, what makes the equipment type as a whole is the type of trailer that the truck is attached to. So I want to make sure that that's clear. Okay, so this is a dry van equipment type. This is a refrigerated or reefer equipment type, and this is a flatbed equipment type. Okay, so next will be under, and we're still under Module 1, carrier acquisition. So we have certain methods that we use to try to acquire or get carriers under a dispatcher agreement and profile. Now, before I move into the methods, I need to go over what is a dispatcher agreement and profile. So the dispatcher agreement is what makes the relationship between the carrier and the dispatcher, I guess you would say, legal or permissible, where there is an agreement that says, okay, I, carrier of ABC, and here's a copy of it. This one is mine, and if you have a logo as an independent dispatcher, you can put that there. Your contact information, whether it's your name, phone number, email address, and website. The more professional information you have on your agreement, the more believable it is for the carrier, and the more likely they'll go with trying to use your service as to help as their dispatcher to help them find loads. So the dispatch agreement is just a small contract, if you will, saying I, ABC Trucking Company, who is the carrier, and they're giving their information, their tractor or their truck and trailer number, their MC and DOT number. An MC number is a motor carrier number. A DOT number is a Department of Transportation number. These are unique numbers that are given to owner-operators, truck drivers, carriers by FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and DOT, Department of Transportation, that uniquely identifies each owner-operator, carrier, truck driver that's hauling freight out here on the roads today. Each one has a unique number, a unique MC and DOT number that identifies their company that is governed and under the auspices of the FMCSA and DOT. So the agreement says that trucking company is granting you, the dispatcher, permission to find loads for them, process their broker and paperwork, rate confirmation, things like that, and go from there. And this is the fee for this particular agreement is 10%, and it's just putting their information. I also added an extra clause where I am saying that the carrier is authorizing the dispatcher to complete the carrier setup packets for them as well as the rate confirmations. And this red line here is an initial authorizing that to happen. A carrier packet is what a broker sends to the carrier or dispatcher, if a dispatcher is working for the carrier, to fill out and provide detailed information about that company, that truck driver, so they can get them set up to book loads under that brokerage. It also has to, along with the carrier setup packet that is filled out and returned to the broker, you will need to have returned with that carrier packet the carrier's W-9 for tax purposes and showing that they are a legitimate business with an EIN number that's associated with their company and not their social. A copy of their certificate of insurance showing that they have the minimum requirements for cargo and liability, cargo being 100,000, liability being a million for minimums, and their MC authority letter. So, and showing that they are authorized to haul freight in the United States according to FMCSA and DOT. So once the broker receives the carrier packet filled out, however many number of pages that is, along with those documents, the broker is going to process that information into their system, run it by their compliance team to approve your carrier who you have under agreement, then the broker will come back to you and say, okay, you've been approved. Now let me send you a rate confirmation for this specific load that you're under or that you're looking to book now based off of what you saw on a load board. That's why you called us. That's why we sent you the carrier packet. So now the rate confirmation, once the carrier is approved through the carrier packet, that does not mean that the load is officially booked. The load will become officially booked once that rate confirmation is sent to you, the dispatcher representing your carrier, or the carrier if they do not have a dispatcher, and that rate confirmation is signed and then returned back to the broker. What that means is that the carrier or the dispatcher representing the carrier agrees with all the information and the numbers and the price of the load that's being sold to them in that rate confirmation that they sent back. So be sure to go over those numbers. Be sure to go over any special instructions, anything that looks out of the ordinary you want to question to the broker to make some changes or what have you, because once you sign that, it's kind of difficult to change those conditions. So this is the dispatch agreement. The carrier signs their company name, their signature, print name, date, things like that. Okay? And then the profile is what the carrier is going to send you, telling you how they want to run. So if you are a dispatcher, this is what you cater your load search when you go on load boards and other resources to look for loads for that carrier. This is what you base it off of, the profile. So the carrier is saying, I have this equipment type. I may have a flatbed, I may have a dry van, I may have a reefer. I may have a fleet of these things, which is more than one. A fleet is like several dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. Do you do long haul? Yes or no? If so, what states do you go to? So you need to know some of the particulars. So when you look for loads for your carrier that you have under a dispatch agreement, you're able to try to satisfy as much, if not everything, in the profile. The main thing is, of course, you want to stick to what their cost per mile or cents per mile is. So if a carrier of a particular equipment type, let's say a dry van, wants to run loads for no less than $2 per mile, then of course you find loads that are paying $2 per mile or better, and go with that. If they have a certain weight capacity, because most carriers, if they're smart, they don't haul at their maximum weight. They'll haul the maximum weight of what the trailer can haul. They may haul a few thousand pounds less. And one of the reasons of that is because they want to keep their fuel costs down. If you're always hauling at your max weight, then you're burning the most diesel as possible. But if you're hauling at a little bit less, then you're kind of saving a little bit. So it's all about economics with the carriers as well. So that's the dispatch agreement and profile. So back to the methods of getting the carriers to say, yes, I'll send me a dispatch agreement and profile. I'll fill that out and get it back to you. One method is actually to do it in person with the carriers. If you go to any local truck stops in your area, you can pass out cards, flyers, have a conversation with some of the owner operators, and just get their take on questions like, well, if you actually consider, or if you had a dispatcher working for you, what are some of the characteristics and traits and some of the things that you would want your dispatcher to provide for you, type of service, and get that feedback, and then use that as fuel and leverage to provide that service to any future carriers, or use it in your marketing strategies when you go out and solicit to carriers, based off of previous information that you have received from the carriers that you are currently speaking to at truck stops. And if any of the truck stops have like bulletin boards or anything in there, you want to hang flyers and business cards, be sure to get the permission of the management team at that facility prior to doing so. Number two, of course, is the cold calls. One of the resources that we use for cold calls is the truck search feature on the Truckers Path or Truckloads website, load board. So we go out there and we train about how to navigate that. We actually call carriers live and start a conversation with them. Actually have gotten carriers to say, yes, send me dispatch agreement and profile. I'll fill that out and send it back. I've had conversations live in trainings with carriers. I've had conversations live in trainings with brokers when we went to go book the loads. So And in addition to the truck search feature on Truckers Path, so if we're still under the cold call number 2 category, just because you found some potential carriers, you still want to kind of vet them out through what's called the FMCSA Safer website, where you look up their DOT and MC number just to be sure that they're not a part of a brokerage, because you don't want to do any double brokering in that regard. Then, of course, you have word of mouth, you have text scripts and email campaigns, which is the last resort. So this is all covered in Module 1, Carrier Acquisition. Remember, I was just speaking about previously those other documents that the broker needs along with the carrier packet returned in order to get the carrier set up under that brokerage to run loads, run that current load as well as future loads if they're going to continue to run for that broker. Remember the W-9, the MC authority, and the certificate of insurance. And if there's an optional form as well, a fourth one, if your carrier that you have under a dispatcher agreement has a factoring company, then they send the NOA form, which is the notice of assignment, where the notice of assignment is the factoring company's way of running a credit check on the broker or shipper to make sure that they pay on time. So it's kind of a safety net for your carrier to protect them. So that's Module 1. Module 2 is the load board modules. So Module 2 deals with load boards, and we have load boards. We have the videos of Module 2 talking about the load boards and discussing the load boards, and we have content dealing with that, what the load board is about, the PDF for it, and the quiz that tests your information and knowledge of how much you know about what you just went over, the content in Module 2. So what are shippers, brokers, things of that nature, how to navigate the load boards, what are some of the things to look for in the load boards. And then we have, if you click in the area of under Module 2 load boards, you will see the different load boards that we have. If you notice, there's a left arrow and a right arrow. If you click the next arrow to the right, it goes to the next load board option. So we have about 10 of these load boards, and in each case, to the right of the image, you'll see the name of the load board description, and a link to, if you click the link, it's going to open up another tab in your browser for that load board page, and you log in according to that load board login PDF that was under the orientation page under Dispatcher 101. Remember that the ebook section under orientation, where you watch the orientation video, and then you had the 3 ebooks that are free to you with the enrollment. You had the glossary, and then that last PDF was those email and password logins for the 10 load boards under Module 2. Remember? So that's where you would go and put in that information. Module 3 talks about actually booking the loads, and we have a YouTube video about that. We have content about it and a quiz to test your knowledge. So in booking the loads, there's a dialogue that you have with the broker or shipper based off of the information that you have received from the load boards. So most brokers post their loads on the load board, but in some cases, there's not enough load details provided for that load. So I got scripts in here that talks about how to dialogue with the broker and the dispatcher or carrier in some cases, asking questions about a particular load. Hey, this load is, I'm looking at this dry van load going from Norfolk, Virginia to Charlotte, North Carolina. Today, is it still available? You know, then the dialogue between you, the dispatcher, and the broker. What the broker says, what is your rebuttal to what they say, and that conversation as it progresses through the whole process to get that load booked for your carrier. Okay, and we have content about that, the different dialogues and scripts, an example of what's said and how to dialogue, an example of a carrier packet, what a sample carrier packet looks like, other documents again to book those loads. Those documents are common documents that are always asked for 99.99% of the time to book loads. So when you first get your carrier under a dispatch agreement, it just makes sense to get those other documents along with the dispatch agreement and profile back from your carrier put that in your own internal filing system. So when you go to different brokers or shippers, you can easily upload those documents along with the information in the packets that you need to fill out to initially get that carrier set up. We go over rate confirmations along with carrier packets under Module 3. And then Module 4, after your carrier has delivered the load to its destination or the receiver, then they will receive the last portion of that BOL signed from the receiver. When you pick up a load, when your carrier picks up a load from the shipper, generally there's a 3-tier carbon copy bill of lading or a delivery receipt. The first tier is signed by the shipper and torn off and left at the shipper. What that piece indicates is that the carrier picked up this freight, so many pallets, nothing was damaged, everything was accounted for, and here's a signature from the shipper and the carrier saying that that was the case. So they tear that first of that 3-tier carbon copy BOL off. Now the carrier has 2-tier carbon copy BOL, and they're driving from or they're hauling from the shipper to the receiver. When they get to the receiver, now they are being unloaded. They were loaded at the shipper, now they're being unloaded and at the receiver where they're delivering. So while they're being unloaded, things are being checked for damage. Everything is being accounted for, and if everything checks out, the receiver signs a particular area on the BOL, the second piece, and the carrier signs the BOL in that same area, indicating that everything checked out. Even if it didn't check out, there's areas on there for like damages, any claims that's going to be filed, or what have you. Everything is accounted for. Everything is structured that way. So that second piece at the receiver is torn off for the delivery. And that last piece is what the carrier used as their receipt, showing that and since it's carbon copied, it had the original shipper area signed by you and the shipper, the receiver area just signed by you and the receiver, and your area, so you can upload, the carrier, I should say, should upload that to either their factoring company or to you, the dispatcher, so you can send to the broker in any case, so the carrier can get paid. Once that happens, you can invoice your carrier for your percentage of the gross of that load now and go from there. Here's a sample of what a BOL looks like. And then in addition to that, we have, of course, forms and documents, tools and resources. The forms and documents generally are going to be, again, since this is basics, it's always going to be the dispatch agreement and profile, what is usually used to initially get a carrier under a dispatch agreement. The load details cheat sheet is when you're looking at loads on the load board and the broker does not provide enough details of the load details cheat sheet is some questions that can be asked to help get answered by the broker to you, the dispatcher, so you can inform your carrier of some much needed details of that load so that carrier can make an informed decision as to whether to take that load. You know, what are the pickup delivery dates and times, because the carrier could be under a load and they may not make the time to get offloaded from where they're under and then drive, if there's a certain amount of deadhead, to that load that you're trying to currently book for them. So that carrier needs to know that. There may be an overlap that would prevent that from happening. So those are some of the details. What's the weight? Does it fall within the weight of the profile that the carrier gave you in the profile sheet? What's the load paying? Does it equal out to what the cents per mile was when the carrier sent that profile back to you listing what their cents per mile was? So we have broker shipper paperwork, which is the carrier packet and the rate confirmation. We have those other documents. Remember, the MC authority, W-9, certificate of insurance, and the notice of assignment. So that's under forms and documents. And then we have tools and resources, some other things. And this area is going to grow as well. Some useful information. The Title 49 CFR, which is Code of Federal Regulations, Title 49, which is the section of the Code of Federal Regulations that talks about the transportation industry. Okay, and then we have a dispatcher manual, and then we have DAT trend lines, what shows the trend lines. If you click the image, it opens up another tab to the DAT trend lines website. You can do your own research of what are the trends, cents per mile for those 3 equipment types. And the same, if you click the image for the hot market, you can see what's hot out there and do your due diligence that way. So these resources are very powerful. And then we have, of course, our training videos. All our weekly trainings, either Wednesday and or Saturday or Sunday, are recorded. I started, and they're grouped in months. I started this video recording, storing them on the website process back in November. That's why November is showing first. So November, December, January, thus and so, right? And then within each one, there are multiple video. It lists the date of that particular month and the video and what it talked about. Okay? So if you click that, now you see the videos within the month of December in the order of the date. So the first one I did was the 5th of December back in 2018. And if you click the arrow, now there's the 12th, the 19th, the 26th, and so on and so forth.
Good evening.
Okay? And then it's grouped in months. So I do have, let's see, March. I don't want to move too fast because the internet is kind of slow. But I have March. I have all the way through July. So, and the videos that I made today will be uploaded into the month of July for the date that it was recorded for. So, April, May, June, and July. So, and then we have Dispatcher 101. That particular ebook is more explained and broken down for you. And then the glossary, Dispatcher 101 glossary, more explained and broken down, the terms and everything. So you have the ebook and you have a section that has the definitions and the glossary, and it's sectioned off. So what is a dispatcher and what is dispatching, and its groups of terms there. Carrier searches, a group. Load boards, there's different information about that group. A lot of content. Dialoguing with the brokers, shippers, content there. All the content, so on and so forth. So there's so much information. Invoicing and payments, what's all involved in there, what's some of the terms, and then the basic terms. And then, so there's so much information for you to learn at your own pace and grow at your own pace. So this is Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. So, and this is the heading page of that. So you can watch the intro video here, take the guided tour, and this is kind of another guided tour. It may be included in this area here as well. So Dispatcher 101 training for beginners, Freight Broker 101 training for beginners, but I'm not going to do a Freight Broker 101 training for beginners recording on this particular recording. I wanted to talk more about Dispatcher 101 training for beginners on this recording now, but that will come at a later time. So again, if you're interested, you can go to the enroll through the website portal, and then under Dispatcher 101, you can go to the enroll in Dispatcher 101 training, and then choose the pricing point that you would be interested in, what best suits you to learn. And it's a self-paced. You can, once you're in, you're in it for as long as you need. If you want to get out, you can get out with a written notice. Just let me know verbally. But even if after you leave, you still have access to the tools and resources as a point of reference. So just because you leave does not necessarily mean that you've left. So you can still come back and get information if you want some basics given to you again that you feel you need to kind of tighten up your skill set. Because as more people are coming in, we are evolving and while still staying on a basic level. So Dispatcher 101 training for beginners through the Exodus dispatching and training, or the Exodus Logistics Learning Center. I'm sorry, no longer the Exodus Dispatching and Training, but the Exodus Logistics Learning Center platform. So this is the area of the training that we go over for Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. So I hope this information was informative for you and kind of a basic overview of what The Exodus Logistics Learning Center and Exodus Dispatching and Associates provides. Again, our spot trainings are, as of now, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I'm considering making an announcement on Wednesday that the Saturdays will be changed to Sundays, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that will be within a few days. So, at any rate, you can sign on as a guest if you are kind of on the fence or indecisive about whether or not you want to join the platform, and at least see what we have to offer, and even ask questions on the trainings, and those questions will be answered for guests the same way they would be for if a person was a member of the platform. We answer questions the same way. There's no discrepancy in that regard. So looking forward to hearing from you. www.exodusdispatchingandtraining.com. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a prosperous following week. Thank you.